Hi there and welcome to the beta of Quirkos. This quick video guide is just going to give you an overview of the main features to help you get up and running with your first project. When you first start Quirkos, you'll see this open or create project dialog, and here you can see first of all a list of all the different projects you've opened recently, so you can double click straight to start working on those again. There's the author box, which you can change to any name that identifies any changes you've made in any of the projects. If you want to password protect a new project, or if you want to open an already encrypted project, you put the password in here before you open the project. And there's also the structured questions option. Now this is useful to start a project in which you have the same questions across all your different sources. So for example, if you're doing a questionnaire or a structured survey. For now we're just going to create a new unstructured project. So if we click new project, we get a standard dialog box. So just call this test project and then click save. Now this is the main view in Quirkos. On the left side you can see all the main action buttons. This area here is the view, the main canvas view where all of the topics are displayed, and then on the right side of the screen is the text source display. Now when we start a new Quirkos project we don't have any sources in it, so let's start by creating a new one. If we go to the bottom right button, there's a new source button, and if we click on that we can select create a blank new source, import a source from file or from the clipboard. For now we're going to import a source from a file, so we select file in the dialog box here. We can select Tale of Two Cities, which is what we're going to work on for this example. And immediately we get a preview of the text, which we can look at here. And we're just going to change the source title here, so this is Tale of Two Cities. Make it easier to find again later. So we just click the import button, and now that text has come into our project. So if we want to make any changes to how the text views, we can make the column wider or narrower just by adjusting the scroll bar here. And if we click on project and then general preferences, we can change the size of the text or the width of the highlight column, which we'll see working in a minute. We'll leave things as they are for now. That looks okay to me. Now in Quirkos, how you assign your text to different topics is all about the bubbles or quirks which appear in this view dialog. And to create a new topic, all we have to do is click on this little plus button here, and that creates a new topic on the canvas view. Now we can right click on that to edit the properties, and we'll start calling this something a bit more meaningful. So we're going to do a quick bit of text analysis of this opening section, and we're just going to call this positive. We can put in a longer description about what this topic is about, so positive things, and we can change the colour here. We've already got a nice green, so that looks good. And then we can save that, and now we have a positive topic in the green colour. So if we want to assign any text, all we have to do is to select and highlight the text by long clicking on the mouse button, and then dragging and dropping that section of text onto the bubble. And as you can see, it grows as you add text to each topic, and that shows you that something's been assigned to that topic and how much relatively has been assigned to the different topics you might have. So all we have to do here is keep dragging and dropping these positive things. Age of Wisdom, that sounds positive. Epoch of Belief, that sounds positive. Light sounds positive, so we'll put that section in. And Spring of Hope as well. So that all sounds good. And we can move these bubbles around just by clicking and dragging and rearranging them however we like. Now we've only got one topic, so let's add a new one now. These appear randomly on the canvas, so all we have to do is right click again, select the properties, and then we'll change the title here to negative. And so I think stereotypically that should be red. And we'll save that. And now we can go through and we can code all of the negative things that we found in this section of text in exactly the same way, just by selecting the text and then dragging and dropping onto the bubble. And there we see it grows. The other one shrinks relative to show the relative coding size which we have for these different topics. Great, so you get the idea about how you do coding here. Now we can also group these. So if we create another new topic which we'll call images, we can describe these as being positive and negative images just by dragging and dropping these onto the images bubble. So that now creates a subcategory of images which is positive, and we'll put the negative one on there too. And if you want to remove any of these, you can always use the undo button on the left or the redo button, but you can also just click and pull out any of the bubbles, and it's now been removed from that category. We'll keep that back on there for now. An important thing about how you work in Quirkos is this idea about splitting down your codes into the kind of the smallest, lowest denominator, so it's more easy to combine and pull apart your codes later. So if I add another topic here which is seasons, got a nice brown colour for that too, that looks great. We can also select all of this section here, seasons, light, darkness, spring, winter, being about seasons. If we drag and drop on there, we can see that we've now got in the highlight bar multiple codes assigned to the same piece of text. Now what we're going to do is take a slightly further look at the different things that we can do with the quirks here, the topics. So if we long click on any of these or right click on them, we'll be able to see the overview. Now this will show us all of the text that we've assigned and the hierarchy of any of the quirks and topics that we have. So here we can see all the green things, all the text we've assigned to the positive topic and everything we've assigned to the negative topic. We can also do more coding from here if we wanted to also say that this is also positive or also about images, and we can also code things at the high level and any of the subcategories. From any of these views you can always click on the home button to go back home. Now there's also a overlap view which will show us anything which has been coded at the same time. So the closer that bubbles are, if they're overlapping, that indicates that there's text which has been assigned to both of these codes. So the negative text has also been assigned to be about images and seasons, so we know that there are negative seasons and negative images. But there's no text which is positive and negative at the same time. This is being shown very far away. Now let's show a little bit about how we can work with multiple sources. So we've put in one source already, but we don't really know very much about this source. Now this bottom on the top right shows the source properties view. So if we click on that, there's nothing in here at the moment, but we can add a new property here and we'll call this author, and the value will be Dickens. So now a new topic has been created across all the sources, which is author. And in this case there's only one option at the moment, which is Charles Dickens. So we can keep adding different things like this. So we can give it a rating, for example. These values can be numerical or quantitative, so we'll give this rating of 8, I think. And this is very important to let us look at subcategories and sort the sources as we work through them. If we click on the little button here on the top right, we can see the properties overview, and this shows us that so far of all the sources we have, i.e. just the one, 100% of them are written by Charles Dickens and 100% of them have a rating of 8. Well, let's add another source now so we can play with this a little further. What we're actually going to do is import from the clipboard. So you can, with this, you can import from any source that you have open. So from a Word file, from something on the internet, or something which is in a PDF. So here I've just taken from Project Gutenberg. Here's the first chapter of Great Expectations. So I'm just going to select some of this text. Just the first chapter will do for now. And then we will just go and copy. That's also Control-C if you want the keyboard shortcut for that. And now if we go back to Quirkos, we can click on Import Source from Clipboard. And here we can see again, here we go, the first chapter of Great Expectations. So let's call the source title Great Expectations. and then we can import that in the same way. So now if we go click here to see what we've got, we can have the two tabs here, and we've got the author property which has come across here, and also the rating. Now the author we can select here from the drop down values. Dickens has already been assigned, so that's great, but for the rating we want to give that a new value because this is one of my favorites, so I'm actually going to give this a 9, and we'll click OK for that. Great. So now what we can do is look at these overview of the source properties again. Now we can see that 100% of our sources written by Dickens, only 50% of them are rated 8 and 50% of them are rated 9. So you can see you can add any kind of categories you like here, like age or gender or name or something like that, and then these are very powerful ways to explore the data and look at different differences. So if we just click back here on the home button so we can see the text again. Here's Great Expectations, and we're just going to create a quick new topic here, and we'll call it Pip. Hot pink seems fine for Pip, so we'll select this paragraph. This is all about Pip. Great. Now what we can do is use the query view to look at these different categories and the text which has been associated in them. So if we click on the query screen here, we'll see the main query view. Now here we can select what we want to run a search for. So for this example we want to look at the property, but we can also see who's done the work, who created a particular quirk, and when the work was done. But we'll choose the property here. These are the only two we have at the moment, author and rating. So we'll select the author and Dickens and then run the query. Now on the left we can see all the bits of text which have been assigned with these little bubbles which show how much has been assigned to the different topics. And we can see the text of any of these topics just by clicking on any of them like that. So the interesting thing that we can do here, of course, is if we choose something where not all of the sources have the same response, we can just see things we've rated with 8, then we can see that we lose that Pip topic. And we can also do a comparison view. So if we click on the comparison query mode, we now get two columns. So on the left we've got the rating of 8, and we can do another query completely separately here where the rating is 9. So if we run this query, we can see that yes, things rated with 9, we have some references to Pip, but nothing on the left side where it's rated 8. And we can also add more and more criteria to this to refine or make wider the search. So if we put in another term there, we can have the author be Dickens. Okay, that's not going to change anything now, but if we put the rating as also 8 and 9, and run the query again, we'll see we get nothing because there are no sources which have a rating of 8 and 9. But again, this allows you to very quickly compare, so you could be looking at everything which women say compared to everything that men say, or you can also use particular other queries. So you could say, for example, anything between a certain rating or something that is not equal to or larger or greater, and you can also put any numerical values in there as well. So again, that's not going to come up with anything in this case. Okay, let's go back to the home button. You can always create reports directly from any of these queries. And now I'm going to show you the last bit I'm going to show you for this example. It's basically the search function. So this is a way to very quickly go through and code text. So if we look in here, we can put in the term Pip, and here we have a series of lots of different bits of text where the word Pip comes up, and we can choose to have whole words or alternative endings. We can also use the synonym search, which is very powerful. So if we put this on here, the words Other words for pip will come up: blip, hit, mop up, rack up, radar, target, shoot, spot, whip, worst. And if we want to look at any of these as well, so if we want to do a search for hit, blip, shoot, spot, we can run the search again if there's anything they do. Oh yeah, we've got Shooter's Hill in there, so that's come up as well. So with this we can very quickly code, because actually we can code directly from the text results. So for example here, if we wanted to add everything about shooting also to the pip topic, we can just drag and drop from the search results directly. So that means it's very quick. Search is a very quick way to code large amounts of text. Now, when we finish with that, we can hit the home button to close that search dialog, or click on that search button again. And I'm just going to quickly show you the different views that you can have. So at the moment we're just manually arranging the quirks, but we can also have them arranged by size, by the number of quotes, and it will arrange these in a nice regular order, or the last ones we worked with, or by alphabetical title, and that's very useful if you've got lots of different topics that you're working with. Now you can always put that back to the way it was before. Yeah, that's great. And on here we've got the source browser. So again, if we've only got two sources here, but if we had lots of them, we could select which ones are displayed as tabs, so we can quickly tab through the different sources that we have here. So that's the other one that we were doing all that work on. Now the final thing is the report. So if you want to share this data and information with someone, you can click on the Generate a Report button here. You can also, from the project button, export as a Word document, so you can work with that with the highlighted text and see the source exported with all of that work you did coding the highlights. You can also export just the Quirk file, so just the topics without any of the text sources in them if you want to do sort of framework analysis. And you can also export the data as CSV files if you wanted to import them into a different qualitative editing package. But we can also create a report, so we'll do that now. And you just select a folder for this, and it'll go and generate all the different views. And then we get a dialog here which lets us see all the different options of what we want to put in the report. So the sample view is on the left. It gives us a preview of what the project will look like, and you can see we've got text sorted by code. So here's everything that came through. It's being coded by positive. Everything that came through is coded by negative. And we can also have text sorted by source. So if we go to the right screen here, we can put that on, and there's nothing assigned in this example. But we can also hide any empty sections like this that we don't want to see. We can include metadata summaries for the author, and we can show any of the views that we want to see. So for example, those hierarchy views that we saw earlier, and all the canvas views, we can select and export those as we like, ordered in different ways if we so wish. And then when we've got that report looking the way we want, we can either open it in a web browser and send that HTML file to someone, print it directly so you can share with lots of people physically, or save it as a PDF file that you can email to people. So just click Save PDF, and we'll call that, I think, example. And then a dialog window comes up. Too big for this dialog, but there we go. There's the PDF with all the different sections of our report exported. Well, that's it. That's a very brief overview of what you can do in Quirkos. Obviously there's a lot more to have a play with, so do get a try, give us some feedback, let me know what you think if you find any bugs and things that aren't working, and I hope you enjoy using Quirkos.